Hello and welcome to my Stamina Warden PvP build. This build I'm currently using more of a dueling build since it's a really high damage output. You're kind of squishy, you don't have much healing, but the damage you can put, like the burst itself, is really high with that build, and it's just overall fun to duel. So I just wanted to give it to you and yeah, and let you guys have fun with it. Quick look into character screen. I'm Orc, I'm always Orc on Warden, I think it's the best race, but also Imperial, Nord, even Khajiit is fine. Whatever race you prefer, some work better, some work less good, I would say, but Orc for me works the best. We have all points into stamina to really get as much damage as possible from our stamina pool, and we don't need the health. We will sit at about 30k maximum health, and the maximum stamina is 24k, maximum magicka is 16k, 0.5. We are using the Shadowmongers. With that build, we have a pretty high damage, high crit damage modifier, and when it comes to Warden and having really high burst, you want to go for the crit damage. The critical chance will be about 28, 27, 28k on your front bar, which is nice, could be higher obviously, but Shadow with full divines gives you the most damage if you crit. Other options would be Warrior for a balance between damage and healing, or Lover for a more flat damage increase, and instead of just having the damage increase on your crit. The buff food we are using, just the usual Zorgosmog Beer Haunch. We get the health, we get the stamina, Magicka region, really crucial. Vampire stage 3, also crucial for that build, for the Undeath passive, which we can see here. It makes us tanky when we lose HP, and we are kinda squishy, so we really need this Undeath. You can try without, but trust me, you will just get one tapped if you don't have your healing up, right? Other consumables we have just the normal tripods too, for the sustain, like health, magic and stamina. And back bar we are using escapist poisons. When they proc against our target, we get 4.4 seconds of CC immunity, so we have a window where we can go offensive, usually when those procs you're on your back bar, so you should use Vigor, then swap to your front bar and do an offensive window. Just nice to have those here. That's about the consumables. Sets really quick. It's actually the usual sets I'm using also on my other build, on the higher HP one, more tanky one. We have 2 times Barlock, but we are now using medium. Actually, we are in 5 medium, 1 heavy and 1 light. So here we have 2 times medium prismatic enchant in divines. Barlock itself gives you a huge amount of damage when you use your ult, so really great for bursting someone down. Then we have the usual one-piece trainee, heavy reinforced chest with prismatic enchant for the 1400 maximum health. On our front bar we are using Stone's Battle Axe. In sharpened, Battle Axe gives us 12% more crit damage, and the sharpened obviously the penetration. Stone 2 times weapon damage, 1 time offensive penetration, and when we deal damage to someone who's off balance, which obviously is when we dizzy someone, we get the 5312 penetration, which is great, really high uptime, really strong damage buff in that regard. The other set we are using is on backbar, it's Rallying Cry. It gives 300 weapon and spell damage, which is nice, and some type of tankiness, which comes in the critical resistance, 1650. Makes you quite tanky, and you actually need that when you're in just those 5 medium full damage build, without having like a huge HP pool to give you some room. So Rallying Cry here, just the best pick, I have a powered sword to increase our healing. Since our healing, we actually have only 2 really real healing skills, so I try to boost the healing here with powered. Yeah, sword and board of Rallying Cry, 200 battle aches. Then we have 2 times the jewelry of Rallying Cry and infused weapon damage, the Rallying Cry sash, Divine's prismatic enchant, and 3 times stones on the body and medium Divine's prismatic enchant. Mythic, Sea Serpent's Coil, most strongest. Mythic, especially in duels, since you don't really have the negative of the snares, since it's just a duel, and infused with weapon damage. Skills are the following. Dizzy String is our main spammable. Executioner, when your target drops low, usually I start executing at like 20%. Then we have Deep Fissure, our delayed burst ability. Bird of Prey for the minor berserk. Usually I don't use Bird of Prey in a duel, especially since I don't really have to kite, but sometimes people run or you fight Sorks, which just spam streak, so then you actually need to use Bird of Prey if they don't proc the major expedition you get from Elude. So talking about Elude, here we have the major evasion source, 20% less damage from every AoE attack. Since we are medium, it's obviously the right choice to go Elude to increase our mitigation against everything that is AoE. Burst ultimate, here we have the Dawnbreaker of Smiting. If you time it right with the second hit of Deep Fissure, usually you want to hit the first fissure to apply the major and minor breach, and then wait for the timer to be like at 1 second before the second fissure hits. Then you start the dizzy, so everything kind of hits. Like dizzy, then you have the medium attack, which will stun your enemy while they get hit by deep fissure, and you put the DB on top. This is usually a lot of burst and can get you winning against most targets. Backbar, we have Bullnedge, source of major brutality, not protection. Also restores stamina over 25 seconds. It's about 400 stamina regen, so really strong skill. And it removes a negative effect every 5 seconds. You can also spam that skill, and every time you reuse it, you remove 1 negative effect. Also nice to know. Lotus Blossom is our source of major savagery for the increased critical chance, and every light attack and heavy attack will heal us for a small amount. Heavy attacks will heal for a bigger amount. Living Trail is here. Usually I'm using Leeching Vines, but here we don't have Polar Wind, we don't have a burst here, so Living Trail is here where we have it on us and we take damage, we heal for a significant amount of health, and when they expire you get a small burst heal. You can recast them while they're still running to get the burst heal since the old duration ends, so that's how you can actually shoot yourself back up to full HP when you got some damage, so just spam it. Resolving Vigor, the strong healing over time. Also we get minor resolve, increasing our resistance by 3k. We have Ice Fortress for the major resolve buff, 6k resistance and minor protection, which is 5% less damage for 30 seconds. And Backbar, we are using Northern Storm. While we have Northern Storm or Backbar, we do get 990 physical and spell resistance, and we can also use it as an offensive ult. Some people can kinda like counter the burst with DB, so then I try to use Northern Storm and kinda pressure them down. Strong ult, also you get 300 weapon spell damage. Having a 500 bar log and then using Northern Storm usually gets you to about 8k weapon damage, which is nice. Champion points, we have Ironclad, which is the only defensive CP here to reduce the direct damage incoming by 6%. Then we have Fighting Furnace, increasing our critical damage by 8%. Mastered Arms, increasing all of our direct damage by 6%. And Exploiter, giving us 10% damage done against enemies who are off balance. So usually when you go for the big burst on someone, you want him to be off balance to get the 10% more damage. Red One's Pain's Refuge, Sustained by Suffering, Survival Instincts, and Slippery. Here I use Slippery to increase my stamina regen even further. If you want more tankiness, you can replace it with Relentlessness. Yeah, that's about the build. I will show you some clips how that build actually works in a duel. I tested some other things like going full stamina enchant on my armor to increase damage a little bit more, but it's not really worth it to lose it's about 3k, 2.5k health, and the damage increase is not really significant. But if you really want to go for really low HP and high damage, you can use here the Lava Food, which will increase your stamina regen and maximum stamina. You will go to really low HP, but having really high damage. To sustain your Magicka, you're gonna swap to the Blue Edge. Alright, enjoy the dueling clips. Please keep in mind this is not meant to expose anyone, and you're not mega immortal on this build. I'm also not immortal, I also lose on that build, and yeah, good fight to everyone.